Welcome to Bassmaster Fishing 2022, St. John's River, episode like 36 or 7 or something. But I found a new hotspot and for largemouth bass, and I want to take you along on my first hour fishing it. Now, I just found this spot about 10 minutes ago, and it's full of largemouth bass. You go to the right, it's very shallow, so for those of you that like Ned rigs and jig heads, like light jig heads and light Ned rigs, especially the Ned rig, I think you might be interested. You see past these docks here, and there's a dock right here. It's a short dock with a wide kind of vertical dock attached to it. Right here with the the life ring there in front of this house here. Pretty close to the starting position. I've been looking around and I found this spot. Now I want to use, instead of this jig head, because this is sinking quite a bit, so I'm going to move over to a 3/16 ounce 4/0 Ned rig. Now, when I found this spot, it was absolutely cracking with largemouth bass. And they're not like on the dock, they're like out in front of the dock here. So yeah, right away a largemouth bass. Now, I want to take you along for my first hour, just testing this spot. I'm always testing it, the spots I find, to see if they're going to be good enough for to win the online open. That is what I am doing this hour. I want to see if I can get 5/16s or the equivalent of 5/16s in a single hour. We're a little closer. But what I've noticed is they're out in front of this dock here. See the fish finder? There's fish here. There's big fish here. There's small fish here. And one thing I noticed is there's a lot of largemouth, which is a sign that it could be a very competitive spot. It could be full of 16-pound largemouth. So I just want to give it a good solid hour. To test it and see if there's any really big ones over here. And if it turns out to be some phenomenal episode, then it'll go on YouTube. Plenty of big fish in here. Big gar. There's a largemouth. I always change my clothes for every episode. I have not changed my clothes since the last episode. So I'm sorry for that. I was just excited about this spot, and I just started to record right away, and I did not change my outfit or my boat wrap. Bunch of fish in here, guys. Real interesting. In front of this dock here, there's trophy largemouth, there's gar, there's a bunch of fish in here. There's definitely something going on here. And it seems like they're all kind of just out in front of the dock there. And I wonder how long it's going to take to bump into a legendary largemouth bass. Now, sometimes I see them, but I don't catch them. Other times I catch them. So far, a bunch of tiny largemouth. Not even any trophies yet. It's relatively cool for St. John's. It's 48 degrees. But all I have caught so far is largemouth bass, small ones. Let's see how long it takes before an absolute giant shows up here in front of this dock. Because not every spot on St. John's looks like this, where there's a congregation of many different species. And I was really excited when I first found it. But old St. John's, some people have told me that they don't see too much out here, and they want videos on hotspots, and they want someone to look into the lake. And they'd like more videos on St. John's River. There's a lot of weeds and grass here, so it does seem like you're going to have to go weedless. Not a lot of crankbaits are going to work. Even some of the better swim baits won't work, like the Jenko and the perches and that packed DLC. They're going to get hung up too. Looks like a spot where you want to go pretty weedless. Tons of weeds in the water. Well, there's been no giant largemouth yet. But there's very big fish on the fish finder periodically. And it's interesting. It's an interesting spot. I'm wondering how long it'll take. There's a bass right above me. Oh, he's not a big one either. He went for it, but I didn't set the hook because he wasn't big enough. We're looking for like 16 plus. We'll take 15s too. 14s, 13s, but anything below that, I'm probably just going to break off or not set the hook. But it was like this when I found it. There was a bunch of fish right in front of the dock mainly. Very shallow. It's like 5 feet deep. So you probably want a Ned rig. And I'm not using my old faithful stop and go because I'm just in free fishing right now, and that's okay. Like, constant does seem to work just fine in free fishing. It's only like when you get to like career mode or the online tournament or Royale, where it seems like you really kind of need some alternative retrieve to constant, because constant can just like miss a lot of big fish. Bunch of little guys. An interesting first 10 minutes.
Somebody caught a toad.
Well, I mean, this is a 20 game, or no, well, it'd be 5, 6, about 6 or 7 minutes. I'm sorry. Very interesting. I wonder if we'll see old Bassington in this episode. Checking out this very shallow spot. Mostly very tiny fish on the fish finder. There's one. This is definitely a trophy largemouth bass. Of course, it might not be a very big one. It seems like the more shallow water you're in, the bigger the bass look, even though they might not be that large. This is not a big one. It might not even be trophy for St. John's. He's fighting for a little guy. He's fighting hard. Not trophy, but he was almost a 10-pounder. It's just there's not very many spots on St. John's that have like all different species and an abundance of largemouth bass. There's a lot of largemouth. I mean, I've caught nothing but largemouth, but they're all small. This guy's really tiny, so I'm letting him go. Another largemouth there. And another largemouth bass. But it's interesting that they're all non-trophies. I haven't caught a single trophy largemouth. They're all like super tiny today. That's very interesting. But there's also channel cats and gar and panfish. So, you know, that's just interesting to me. I'm kind of wondering when I'm going to catch something legendary. I think it can't be too long. And a spot that's got this much variety. All right, my first heartbeat is definitely a largemouth bass. And what is it? It's a giant. It's a giant largemouth bass. One of the biggest I've ever seen. And all my thousands of hours playing this game, it's huge. This could be like a 16. It took a while. It took till like almost 9 a.m. But I knew, like, catching that many non-trophy largemouth, that this was probably coming. I mean, it's rare on St. John's that you find a spot that gives you a ton of largemouth that are not trophy. You know, they're not even trophy. Wow.
Fatty Wacky, give that hog a bone.
One of the highest quality trophy largemouth bass in the game. The only higher quality than that would be like a 1610 plus. And just pitching straight at this dock. He was out here in the grass, kind of out in front of the dock. Very interesting for old St. John. Oh my goodness gracious. This might not be as big as it looked. Yeah, it's like a 10. It looked like another 16 to me though. With the old Ned rig and a trimmer shad with a big hook. I just want to use a 5/0 because it'll attract catfish. It's funny, like, you wouldn't think a hook would attract anything, but in this game, if you use a 5/0 hook, you will start attracting the catfish.
Somebody caught a toad.
A 12, and things are starting to heat up. Let's see how long it takes before we get big bass number 2, if at all. I wouldn't know. I have no practice on this spot. I found it, and I just immediately decided to do an hour episode on it. Because I've had people in my comments asking me to do different videos on St. John's River. And indeed, it is an enormous lake full of mystery, and it's not always obvious where the real giant trophy bass are going to be. As a matter of fact, some of the hot spots, oh my goodness, that looks huge. Some of the hot spots can be very inconspicuous and very subtle. I found an amazing spot for largemouth, like in between 2 docks, but a lot of the fish were like 10 feet deep. And I had to use a drop shot to really find them at all. I remember thinking I was lucky to even find that area because it just seems so well hidden, and St. John's has got some real secrets. But I just found a real obvious hot spot.
Not gonna set any record with that one. But at least it's a good, solid keeper.
Right by the starting position. I made a video on that today. And I do have a lot of practice on that spot. And I found a couple days in a row, I got the equivalent of 5/16s in an hour. Very competitive. This is my first hour fishing this spot, and it's constant largemouth bass. That was another one. Oh, my first gar. I mean, I've seen them in here, but that was the first one I caught. And they do seem to populate this area quite a bit. let's see how long it takes. For 15 or 16 size trophy number 2, or perhaps legendary largemouth bass. I think wherever you catch a 16 pounder, guys, you can probably wind up catching a legendary largemouth bass sooner or later. That's the channel cat, striper, and a channel cat goes for it, but I'm not after him. Very shallow, but lots of good fish. Oh, yes. Not a big largemouth, but he looked enormous because it's shallow water and the camera zooms right up on the fish, and they all look gigantic. This one's not big though either. Another tiny largemouth. Interesting. And every once in a while, boom.
Not gonna set any.
It seems like you'll hook into a 16 pounder.
Good, solid keeper.
It'd be so cool to catch Bassington or Hank or one of the bigger sized legendaries. Always looking for those fellas. Channel cat took it. And there's big fish on the fish finder. Plenty of fish here. But mostly what I've caught has been largemouth. Not trophy though. The vast majority of them have been undersized. Except for one over 16 pounder. This one looked really tiny, but it's got a trophy harpy. It's big. It's really big. Wow. Look at the size of that gorilla. And even though it's not like a pocket of, like a condensed pocket of thousands of fish all in one little area, it does seem like the quality of largemouth bass here can be phenomenal. Can be very big. This one's huge. Wow. Really big. Wow. And the quality can be phenomenal.
You have caught an absolute hydraulic.
All right, guys. Now I've caught 2 over 16-pound trophies. And that's like the absolute maximum size trophy possible on St. John's. 17 is where you get into the legendaries. But in the tournament, the monthly tournament, you're really looking for 5 16-pounders in 1 hour. Or the equivalent. Like 15 14s, 15 10s. Fish like that are very valuable. But big 15s, like fish over 15 8 size. Two real giant trophy largemouths so far. before 10:20. But it's fall here in Virginia. I think it's fall. But the weather has finally started to cool. And all summer it was like 90 plus degree days here in Virginia. And I'm just glad that it's finally fall because it was almost like wintertime for the lack of comfort, just being outside for any length of time. Because it was just so darn hot. And not only was the sun out, but it was very humid. And the heat was just hardly even bearable. It was very rough, hot summer. And honestly, guys, I don't remember it ever being that hot this far north. But some people that lived in Virginia their whole lives, they tell me that it can be common. I catch another largemouth bass with a Ned rig and a tremor shad. Little guy, real little.
Set any records with that one, but it's
And yeah, it's funny because like the quality of the largemouth can be off the charts here. And yet on the other side of it, there's the really tiny ones. Really tiny. Lots of those here. They all seem to be right in front of this dock here. Just kind of cruising around in front of the dock. Not directly on the dock, but out in front here. Plenty of super-sized largemouth. At least in time, it does seem to produce the really, really big ones. And of course, I'll be expecting number 3 any time now. Another little guy. I busted him off. Let's see. Plenty of action though. Like as far as like a fishing spot with activity and excitement, it does deliver that good time that you're looking for. There's plenty of activity and constant fish catching here. I noticed when I boated around here real carefully that there was a fish signal in front of this dock. And of course, I'll be very curious to see how it's going to perform in 1 full hour on just random weather. I did not pick this weather. It's totally random. It's 48 degrees. It's just the temperature the game gave me. Huh. It's cooled down a little bit. I was catching steady largemouth for quite some time there. One fish after the next. There's a striper. And he broke off. And that's good because we are after largemouth bass, not stripers. There he is again, and he takes it again. And he breaks off again. Maybe there's something really special in here. And that's why that striper was so aggressive. It seems like I'm always catching legendary fish. Whenever there's a ton of big stripers around, kind of try to chase you away. Yeah. This is a trophy largemouth bass. How big is it? It's big. Wow. It's really big. A big dark green bass with a dark green stripe down its side. It's enormous. This will almost certainly be a 15 or 16 number 3. I got 4 game hours, which is like, I think 20 minutes to get the other 2 big ones I need. Wow.
An absolute hydrilla.
That's an absolutely giant size trophy largemouth. 16 and a half. That's the biggest one so far. Are you kidding me? How long do you think it's going to be before you catch a legendary largemouth bass here? I wager not very long at all. But guys, that 16 after 16 after 16 over a certain period of time, that's no accident. This is probably set up by the developers to give you a full bag for the online tournament. I don't doubt it for a second. I just wonder how long it's going to take before Studley or Pudge, Bassington or Hank shows up and smashes this Ned rig. All right, it's really quieted down a bit again. Maybe that's all it's going to give me. I doubt it. I think there's more. But I could be wrong. Bassmaster can be a fairly unpredictable game, and yet it can have predictability as well. I mean, very often, wherever you catch a few 16s, probably by the time an hour is over, more will come. Or at least some 15s and 14s should be on the way. It's a trophy fish. This was like right on the dock, whatever it is. It almost broke 50-pound line immediately. So there's a chance it could be, oh, this is really slow. This is probably a striper here. Whenever they're like extra slow like that, this is a striper almost for sure. Oh, this is definitely a striper. Look at how slow it is. Wow. It's just creeping along at a snail's pace. That was a striper. I'm almost positive. No bass moves that slow in the game, guys. So if you don't see it hit, but it's moving real slow like that and it's taking all your time, and it's that slow, it's a striper. And you can feel free to just break it right off, in my opinion, and save yourself the time. And there might be something really special in there and you don't want to miss it. Usually stripers turn up when there's very valuable fish in the water. I don't think there's a chance that was a largemouth, though. I've never seen, not even Bassington move that slow when I caught him. Only stripers move that slow. Of course, maybe it was Bassington, but he was just glitched or something. I can't tell you how much I doubt that. Because I'm always catching stripers and they always move like that. They're always the slowest fish in the water. So I kind of think maybe I should have brought it in just to check, make sure it wasn't a glitched out largemouth, but yeah, maybe I should have just checked. But I didn't. It just seems like there's always fish. In front of this dock here, there's always stripers and gar and catfish and panfish and all, like if you're looking for the various legendaries, not just largemouth, you want the other legendary bass. There's a lot of variety in front of this dock. Yeah, that thing had a heartbeat. I should have definitely like checked to make sure that was a striper, but I have never, guys, in like 2,000 hours of playing this game, I have never seen one single largemouth move that slow. Like molasses in wintertime, you know, that slow, I've never seen it. This looked really tiny, but it's trophy. It's got a heartbeat. It's a trophy largemouth. The only question is what size? 13, 14, 15, or 16? Oh, it's small. Oh, no, I take that back. It's probably about 12 or 13. It doesn't look like the other ones did, like a giant watermelon floating in the water. That's like 11 or 12. Yeah.
That toad right there, that's a little choke pin.
Guys, this is a really interesting spot for largemouth bass. Wow. But it seems like you gotta pull out your shallow weedless tackle box. All right, I got another trophy largemouth here. It's got a heartbeat. It's an interesting spot. Real interesting. This one looks pretty big. Oh yeah, he's big. He is big. And I was wondering where the 13s, 14s, or 15s would show up. And this is probably one of them. But man, what a great spot for largemouth bass on old St. John's. You get to face this neighborhood where there's a bunch of fishing houses and everything, and people living on the lake with their houses and their docks and everything. And it is a pretty cool looking spot. I think you'll like it if you try it out. And you're bound to catch some real giant largemouth bass. At least that's what I discovered. Guys, this is my first hour ever on this spot. And this is how it's going. Wow. A 15.6. So 3 over 16 and 1 15.6. All I need is one more big bass to have a highly competitive bag. I think you should give it a shot. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool spot. I love facing the houses and the docks like this. It does look pretty dope. Pretty cool. And there's yet more largemouth back in there. I can see one back in there. How long's it going to be before old Bassington or Hank or Bertha shows up? I've caught all those largemouth. Bassington only once. I mean, you fish this spot long enough, it's bound to happen. I'm telling you, this is one of the best spots I've found in this whole lake for like consistent giant trophy largemouth. And it's a real picturesque vista. It's a beautiful spot. So it's very interesting and fun to fish it with the houses in the background and facing all the houses. It's another giant largemouth. And guys, honestly, I'm really not surprised. I knew when I found this spot originally that it was probably going to be like this. Which is why I started recording. So I guess you'll have to check this old spot here too out. And give it an hour and try your best shallow weedless lure for largemouth and give it a try. Wow!
From beneath.
Yes, sir. Yes, please. A 15-12. So now I have my 5 giant largemouth bass. I could maybe even win the round if this was the open with the bag I have right now. And it's not 1,300 yet. And during the tournament, you have till 1,500. So if you want to practice by yourself, all you have to do is fish from 7 a.m. to 1,500. And also, guys, if you get like just a bunch of 13s and 14s, that's very typical of Bassmaster, St. John's. Sometimes on the best spots, you only get like 13s and 14s. on some days. But then other days, it's like this. And you get the equivalent of like 5 16-pound bass in your bag. I don't know of any videos about this spot, but it's, man, I'll tell you, this is a great place to pick up trophies, and I'm sure legendary largemouth before too long. Because it's clearly set up for competition. So you know those legendaries are going to be along sooner or later. They just weren't there today. And there's still time. There's 10 minutes left in this video, and there's still time to pick up a legendary largemouth bass. I think I must have caught every single giant largemouth that came by. What a great day of Bassmaster Fishing 2022. I found a major largemouth honey hole. I caught 5 maxed out super trophies in 1 hour. And I got a great video for my channel. I'm not sure if I said that twice, but I've been working on my Bassmaster YouTube channel for about a year. Like, very seriously, I've been doing it for about a year, every single day, just playing the game, playing the tournament, recording my legendary catches, putting them on YouTube. And every little thing that I find out about Bassmaster Fishing goes onto YouTube. And it has slowed down again. Even the tiny largemouth are not here. But I think something could be coming. It's not like I need anything else. I could really end the video right here. And I've got 2 15s and 3 16s. There's a largemouth, another one. He's not worth keeping, though. Another largemouth. Another little guy. He doesn't have a trophy heartbeat. I might bring him in, though, because he's kind of slow. Just in case. I've had people tell me, oh, well, you shouldn't say that all trophies have a heartbeat, because they don't. I caught a fish that was maxed out, and it did not have a heartbeat. So, oh no, this is small. I know that's true. Like, I have also caught super maxed out trophy largemouth, and they did not have a heartbeat. So, but I noticed that they were very large.
What do you got?
Let's see if we can get a legendary largemouth bass for the grand finale of this pigsty that we have now found. I mean, some of this is pretty empty water, but it seems like right in front of the dock is just loaded with largemouth and very high quality. And at least during this episode, they really did go for the Ned rig and the tremor shad. They really, I must have caught every single giant that came by with this rig. But during the tournament, you never know. Sometimes fish can be so skittish during the tournament. It seems strange, but when you get into the venues, they bite so readily and so quickly and everything. And it's like there's no hesitation. And yet, when you get in the tournament, sometimes the AI of the fish is a little, like, they can be very skittish and hard to catch. And that's frustrating, but I still play every tournament. Even the ones I don't know very well yet. Because every little hour you spend on the water, it does seem like you learn more. You do improve. And even if it's a total failure, like you learn like what didn't work. You're always learning something whenever you're attempting one of these tournaments or competitions. Yeah, it's really cool that after I got that fifth fish, it just went dry. There's some tiny largemouth in here, but even like the gar and the catfish have kind of tapered off, and it's been really super quiet for the last game hour. Oh, nice one. Out of the blue. I don't think he's a 16 pounder, but he's a good one. He's probably over 10. At least that's something. I haven't caught a good largemouth for a while now. After that fifth giant I got. Yeah, 12-3.
Big fish, and no whammy.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I want you to try it out. If all you get's 13s and 14s though, don't worry. That's normal. That happens on the best spots, and probably on another day, it'll be much better. It'll be like 16s and 15s. But I found the legendary largemouth can be more common on the 13, 14 pounder days. And it kind of evens out the score sometimes. You still get a good bag, but the real giant bags are the days when you get like mostly 16s. Those are the round winning days. The record setting days in old St. John's. There was some time in between giant trophy catches here, but they did all 5 of them eventually come. I guess I'm going to open up my catch summary to show you my 5 biggest bass. And I'll do that now. Let's see. Because it's really calmed down. So, catch summary. All right. A 16.4. A 16.3. A 16.8. A 15.12. And a 15.6. So the equivalent of over 5 16-pound largemouth. That is what I did on this dock. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.